Main topics we wanted to talk about today. Anxiety attacks, claustrophobia, all those different elements of people playing in an escape room, and kind of what goes down as a result of those situations.
Right, and this is one of those topics that's it's always going to be a topic. So we would really appreciate some feedback on this, because this is something that is ongoing. People getting anxiety in escape rooms. I mean, by their nature, it's an anxious experience. You're racing against the clock. You're trying to solve puzzles. You're trying to get through the scenario. And so it is anxious in nature, but there are people that it can really unnerve.
Right. I think it goes right back into our discussion last week about fallout of the Poland situation.
Right. That doesn't help, certainly.
But we were talking about people, kind of having that preconceived notion that they're locked in a small room.
Right. Even if you tell people they're not locked in, they still are in an enclosed space, and that can
they have to contend with the rest of the environment of the game to begin with too. So I mean,
right.
For like the witch hunt game, it's like it's dark, it's spooky.
Right.
You don't know what the hint system is like, and then the game masters have fun with it, and then shit hits the fan sometimes.
It's the nature. It's the nature of the game itself, of Witch Hunt in particular, but of any really escape game that you're racing a clock, or any game that you're racing a clock, even board games and everything else that you're playing against other people. There's going to be a level of anxiety there. But yes, the enclosed space definitely helps people. People get claustrophobic,
right? And
if they have to go through a small space, or go through a small space within a small space, as sometimes happens in our rooms. They say, "Oh, I'm claustrophobic. I can't do that." So it is good to see when people are afraid like that and they still do it anyway.
Right.
They're getting over that fear, or they're at least setting it aside for a little while to play the game, and that's partially what makes it fun and potentially therapeutic.
Yeah, potentially overcoming your claustrophobia.
I think the therapy is far and few between versus the outright panic attacks we've had.
Yeah, but if you get through that, you feel so much better about yourself if you make it through a panic attack and still follow through. We haven't had too many people actually bail.
I've had
I had 3 people leaving ambulances in Red Bank.
I'm talking about over all time. I mean, considering how many people we've had come through, we haven't had too many people bail. Older people, kids.
Sure.
Yes.
There's a difference between just being genuinely anxious by what the game entails, and there's having a straight up panic attack because you just can't handle it. And those I've had. I had like a group of like 3 or 4 kids. I guess they were like 14, 15 playing Witch Hunt, and like played the hint system, and like the one kid just went into the corner and started hyperventilating, and went in there to see if they were all right, and they had to leave the game. I offered to turn the lights on in the game, and it's still just the game was just so unnerving to them that they couldn't finish playing it. So I let them hang out in the lobby, but like these kids were paralyzed by their anxiety. Maybe it's a larger personal problem, but I mean, we've had people leave the games in Red Bank via ambulance. That's not the game. That's like it's part of the game, but it's it's how people perceive these things. There's being scared, and then there's that like your body shutting down on you.
Right. Well, I mean, that's one of the things that I do kind of pat myself on the back for often is, like my background with when I was in college was drafting. So, like with trapdoor games, I blueprint all the stuff out and figure out the layouts of the games really before we, get too far into the design process. And, like with Boogeyman, and now I see this a lot with QRZ because it's such a large labyrinth, is that there's this concept of like once they're inside, they kind of lose their place and they don't know what's around the next corner. Especially with QRZ, like they get in the travel agency and then they go through that corridor and around the corner, and people are just terrified to go around that corner. There's nothing around that corner, but like we kind of perfectly situated the music to transition so you can't hear the music in that next zone until you're coming around, and kind of theme park-esque, and beyond that, that built tension and atmosphere. People just get in their own heads, and I think that's actually a big part of them, hitting that panic button.
And even if there's nothing physically there, sound plays a huge role in that. Especially witch hunt. You see kids, especially kids, doing this like all the time, just even when there's nothing happening. I mean, we have just in anticipation of
You've
when
asked
something
this
else
before,
is
and I kind of want to ask the audience. Is that a thing that we don't know about in school? Are kids being taught
I see a lot of teenagers doing this all the time, and they all do it kind of the same way. And so, is this something that's taught? I have no idea. Is this something that for hypersensitive kids that they're teaching them to do? I don't know. So I would like to know if anyone in the crowd knows.
The equivalent of get under the desk, we're being bombed.
Something like I don't know.
Well, bad news because hiding under the desk ain't gonna stop it.
Not anymore, but back when they did that in the 50s.
Yeah, my dad had to contend with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's... but, comment below. Let us know if you've experienced, the situation. Because we do see so many kids. And it's only the kids. It's not adults.
Exactly.
That,
it's a kid.
are like earmuffs. And I don't get it.
I mean, so I want to know, is that a learned defense mechanism, or are kids just doing that naturally now?
So, next topic.